Okay, so I'm going to try to do an art critique today. I'm using some brand new tools I've never used before. I'm hoping that this works. Please let me know if the audio is bad or if anything in the process of any of this is shit, so I can try to make sure that when I do this again a little bit more officially, that things come out better. Okay, so anyway, I'm going to start my little show here. Here we go. So, Art Talk with Michael Volpicelli. Pum, pum, pum. Awesome. Okay, so I wanted to make sure that I got a little opening sequence for you. Something that looks kind of cool. And then from there, what I want to do is I want to share with you what a person sent to me. And here's their art right here. I'll make it bigger. All right, and what they want me to do is critique this. So, to kind of give you a little bit of an idea of who they are, this was the message that they sent to me, and hopefully you can hear it now.
I am open to constructive critiques and would like to know how I can improve my art and what you don't like about it. I have made a reel of some of the process while painting this piece, and others of mine if you want to check those out on my Facebook or Instagram. This piece is acrylic 16 by 20 on canvas. I incorporated the use of modeling paste and regular gel gloss for the mountains and texture. I have been creating abstract-style contemporary landscapes that are inspired by this landscape in the Faroe Islands. I don't know what it is about this place that speaks to my heart, but it just holds a magical, almost otherworldly feeling when I look at pictures. I have loosely captured the feeling of this place while changing it into somewhere else entirely, its own new landscape each time I paint it, and I am obsessed. This piece makes me feel a connection to higher planes of existence when I look at it, and that is represented by the killer whale. I've always looked at dolphins as magical, almost alien creatures, and the flying goose, which represents my love for birds and their connection to the spirit world.
Okay, so that's what they sent me. This is the art piece that we're looking at. And what I like to do is I like to start off by telling you what I like about something and then where we're going to need some improvement. Okay, so number one, I love the use of symbolism, right? In that I like that this person tried to find a way to take what's important and special to them about something and include it. And they're trying to use that through symbols, not just through written word or whatever, but they're taking some time and some effort, right, to really try to tell you about what's important about this particular piece of artwork. In addition to that, I like the use of some texture. I like that they made an effort to try to put some texture in the mountain and the surrounding landscape. I like that they tried to put some various types of blues in the water to try to give that some texture as well, especially around the coast where the water is touching the actual landscape area. I don't know about this particular location, so I did a little research and I wanted to show you where this place is that she's referring to and that she wanted to try to capture a scene of, and it is this right here, this picture. So when you look at this, right, and you look at this, right, a few things, right? So I like, again, like this, first off, this lake is strange to me in that I'm not sure if it's raised up or if it's in the water or what. I tried to look at different pictures of it. I tried to find a way to make sense of it. It looks like it's raised up, right? And then you have these really cool looking cliffs, that go right into the water and to the ocean below. So when I look at the artwork that we're trying to critique today, I'm not sure I'm getting a same sense of that. And I think that's a little bit because the landscape is kind of made in these nebulous shapes, and I feel like that in we're getting a whole bunch of texture lines, but I'm not sure I really see what those texture lines are representing. I'm also not sure if I'm getting that same sense of the cliff that's kind of happening. I don't know if you guys can see my mouse. I'm hoping that you can, because I'm kind of highlighting the area on the other image that I would have liked to see a little bit more of, because if this waterway is raised up higher than the ocean, and we still got these really cool cliffs and everything that's happening, right? Then that's really, really special, right? And I like the fact that we kind of have this little volcano, and I love the fact that she put some of these texture and these stylized lines in here to really try and bring attention to it, because when you look at a landscape, lots of times, especially with photographs, right? It's an image, sure, but what's the main thing that we're supposed to be looking at? What are we supposed to look at next? What is the supporting features to that? With photographs, lots of times we don't get that, and that's what makes a lot of photographs, in my opinion, boring, right? So when we look at artwork, we should always have a way of kind of seeing something that is the most important, the second most important, the third most important, something that's going to hold our eye, right? So when I look at this, I think that the artist could benefit from really trying to find a way. Like when you're looking at a magazine, you see a big header on the top of the magazine. So like, this is the title. And then it's like all these different subpoints. And then you have the body text that supports the subpoints. When I look at this piece of artwork, I see that we have a header, which is this mountain right up here with the volcano, right? But then what happens is that my eye kind of wonders, well, what's next? What am I supposed to look at next? Am I supposed to look at this shape that's happening right here? Am I supposed to look at this waterway? I didn't even notice that we had a tiny little killer whale down here, or the bird, until I really took some time to try to look at this. So what are some ways maybe the artist could have gone in and tried to make those stand out a little bit more? Well, number one, right, the size of these water crashes down here and the size of the killer whale make this killer whale look really small, right? So maybe having this killer whale do something bigger and have more splashes, more texture, more something like that would really help to bring my attention to it. Also, having this bird up here, the bird's wing is behind the mountain, which makes this bird, if you really think about it, right, really far away, right? And if this bird is really far away, then the bird is bigger than the mountain, right? So, and what's kind of cool is like the artist spent a lot of time with this texture in the water, but what about the background? Like, what about the sky? Where's our sense of deep depth, right, in the sky? Where's our sense of atmospheric perspective in the sky? That would help to kind of give us an idea of just how big this lake might be. So, for example, right, when you look at a landscape, and we're going to bring back the original image, right, things that are close to you, you're going to see a ton of texture in, right? And then things, as they move away, the texture disappears. And when things are close to you, the colors are usually very vivid, right? You can see lots of color transitions. Okay, 1 second here. Let me stop that from going off. Anyway, and as things move back further into space, they become more muted in color. They become just more like shapes in the background. They kind of take on some of the colors of the different things that are happening around them. So this is lots of water, there might be a reflection of the sky. There might be a lot of water in the air, and therefore, when you look through it, you get this almost like this blue hue that starts to happen as things move back. What we never see is black, right? If you want to have a landscape, I would avoid using black at all costs unless you mix it with another color. If you put black in something, first off, the types of blacks that we get from markers, right, are like what would be considered a hot black. It's not considered a cold black. A cold black, right, is something that really make things look like they're in shadow. The hot black just makes it look like a black thing, kind of like a black cell phone or whatever, right? But as things move backwards, again, they're not going to go towards black. They're going to go towards more of that middle gray. Now, I'm going to show you some examples of some paintings that I think were really successful with capturing some of these ideas that I'm telling you about with atmospheric perspective. This is Thomas Kinkade, for example, right? Notice that everything in the foreground, right? Nice, beautiful details, right? Nice, beautiful use of hot and cold color. Notice that there's pretty much zero black. Now, in the areas where it is really dark, like maybe up here, right? That's a really dark purple. That's not black, okay? Even in like some of these other tiny little areas, that's not black. I guarantee and I promise you that. What it is just the darkest version of that color, okay? And then as things are retreating back into space and how we get that sense of deep space in a landscape, right? We start to mute the colors out and we make it more shapy, okay? And as we're making things more shapy and maybe adding a little bit of a mist feature or something, right? Then what we're doing is we're saying that this is back. And we get that sense of that. We get the feeling that we can walk into the scene. Where when we don't have that, then this kind of just looks really, really flat, right? We don't get that same sense of being able to move deep into the image. So that's something to consider. Now, ways that we can do that too. Well, there's this area that's going to probably be really close to us. There's going to be this area in the water, right? We're not getting a reflection really. So like that's another thing too. So if this is where it is, and if this is where it is, and this is a giant structure, we should be seeing some reflection in the water to represent that. And that might help to even tell us that this is water versus just a blue shape, right? So give us some more features of water. Let's make this feel more like water by showing how water relates to the different things that are around it. So again, we go back to Thomas Kinkade, right? Look at this. In the water, he's got reflections of the different things that are happening around the water. Notice how in the water, there's reflections of light. How exactly is light working with this? So we have this big, beautiful, radiant thing back here, but how is the light from that coming across the rest of these structures, right? Like, show me that. Show me the relationship there, right? Also, if this is just so far back, we should not be seeing that amount of texture. We should be seeing nice, beautiful textures, anything that's close to us. But again, as things move back in space, texture disappears. Okay, so in addition to that too, we're looking at this painting, and again, the artist did a great job, in my opinion, of making sure that they add some nice, beautiful blues in the water. All these different values and shades. But then when we get to these land structures, this is just maroon. No light maroon, no dark maroon. It's maroon with lines. Okay? The dark part is like where the line is highly concentrated, but it's not like we're having value transitions like how we are in the water. So that makes me feel like this is something separate. This is not a natural type of thing. This is more of a blob, right? And we don't want a blob. We want a landscape. We don't want a blob. So we can make that look like more landscapey by giving it the properties of what would happen in a landscape as things move back into space. Now, you could also say that the artist was doing a very, very abstract version of a landscape. Well, that's great. How can we improve on this image right here if it's supposed to be abstract? So I got an abstract artist for us to take a look at and give us things to consider, right? So all the advice I'm giving you, this is just things to consider. It's not the truth in that there is no the truth when it comes to art. There is subjective truth and there are ways of using skills, right? So what I'm trying to do with this entire critique is make sure that I'm giving you skills so that when you want to create what you're creating, you can do the best job possible. And you can communicate through your skills and through your use of tools exactly what you want to show us. So, for example, when I think of this, and our artist statement was that they wanted to show us this beautiful, majestic, wonderful landscape, this wonderful place, right? I'm seeing more shapes. I'm not seeing wonderful place yet. So here's an artist. This is Vincent van Gogh. And this is abstract in that the artist isn't really going into a lot of detail as far as what things are, but the artist is showing us more of how they move, right? So he's showing us the air that's moving through the grass. He's showing us how that air moves these trees. He's showing us how the wind might be blowing the clouds in the back. But notice, even though he's showing us those things, he's still using atmospheric perspective. He's still giving us nice, good details, nice, good contrast to the areas of the clouds that are close to us. And same even with the grass, where it's these beautiful, wavy, amazing line work right here. And then as it moves back, it moves more towards that blue that we were talking about, that you get when things move back into space. So he couldn't give a shit about what the houses look like, because this isn't about the houses. This is just about the movement and the beauty of nature, So that's really cool. Just by adding these kind of wavy lines and everything, he added an element of time to the piece. In the same way that Thomas Kincaid, in his picture, let me see if I can pull it up, gave us a sense of light, where he's showing us how light just radiates in different places and how light works with colors that's going on around it. So, when we look at this piece, the advice that I would give is play around a little bit more with hot and cold colors. Anywhere where light is hitting, give me some hot colors. And anywhere where light is not hitting, where maybe shadows are being cast, give me cold colors. I would tell this artist, number one, absolutely, very first thing, get rid of white, get rid of black. You don't use them, okay? Don't use them. Even in nature, when we think that things are white, they're not necessarily white. This is a really light blue, okay? This is a really light blue. There's no absolute blacks and there's no absolute whites. Now, Van Gogh used it, but again, if you zoom in, there's some light yellows in there. There's different things that are added to that. So give me that. Give me that. If you're a graphic designer, white and black can be your friend, but if you want to paint nature and the real world, get rid of white, get rid of black. And instead use Payne's gray, and you can add black to it. And for white, I would add a little bit of something to it, or I would put a little bit of a wash behind it or something to not make it just this like white from right out of the bottle. Okay, even in the whale down here, there's an area that's white, but then there's this, like the top area, where there's a little bit of blue in there. And that's great. I love that. Look at the way that the water's crashing. Where it's crashing, and it's the most believable, we don't have that same amount of white, like these white lines that we get that I'm not entirely sure what they're representing. Maybe just the texture of rock. And if we're going to do the texture of rock, I would recommend doing some more image studies to kind of practice with that a little bit, because this comes across as a little bit hairy to me. It looks a little bit more like hair than just like just a rocky thing, But so these are things that we can work on, Also, think about how things exist in nature, right? Like the size of this. I hope you guys can see the bounding box that I'm putting around this thing, because that would really help me kind of show. But anyway, when we look at the size of this goose, it's massive, because again, the wing is directly behind the mountain. And then I would also do a little bit of image studies on feathers and on wings, because it looks like that wing is twisting. Like, I understand what she's trying to do, but there's a bone that kind of goes here, and then you'll get small feathers that become longer the further, they go out from the wing. And I'm not necessarily getting that same sense of texture there. And I think that if the artist who originally did this gave me a little bit of a background color, it would help to make this goose pop. Because when I first looked at this, I did not even recognize that there was a goose within the piece. Not at first. But again, like a good artist should be able to, when you look at a piece, tell you what's important, tell you what the supporting things are to it, and give you, other different things that might help to kind of represent, like, okay, the artist needs to look at this thing, and or the viewer needs to look at this thing. This is the thing that's important. This is the thing that's special. This is why I created this piece. Damn it, yeah, like that's what they should do. Now, like, so for example, like you might say while you're listening to me, like, okay, this is great, Mike. What do you do? This is my artwork, just so you can kind of get an idea. I don't use black. I don't use white. Even the leaf, even the feather or the petals in here, there was white added, but it was to a base color that was underneath that, which was either a yellow or a light blue. And maybe that'll kind of give you an idea what happens then. This would be another one. This one, there was a little bit of black that's added just for like texture-y effect, and because this is meant to look like spilled ink with an image coming out of it. And I just show you these different pictures just so you understand that I am a professional artist, and the advice that I'm giving you, I'm hoping that you take it so that you can use it to make your work better. But anyway, like this would be an example of using another thing too. With the use of these lined and these gel pens, you like change the direction on how you use them too, to again just kind of show us what's important. So for example, on this one, what was important were these eyes and the nose, because normally on a living thing, those would be wet, and therefore I would go in and I would have the highest contrast there, the most reflected light, and I want you to look at this thing as if you're seeing its soul, and then as you're seeing something that's really well visually developed, you go, as you move further away from it, it gets less and less developed, and it becomes more, abstracty, spilled paint, spilled ink like, which, like that's a way that we could enhance something like this too, by making one area that you absolutely love textured and perfect, but then having everything else slowly transition into a different texture. That would be really kind of cool to see. So anyway, let me see what else. I had some other pictures. Yeah, it's just a thing. What else can I show you? What else can I show you, if anything? I think that's it. I think that that's the end of the critique. So all in all, good job, artist. I'm glad that you're painting. I'm glad that you're creating the things that you love. And I recommend that you keep at it, that you keep doing this. I want to see more. And if anyone else would like for me to critique their art pieces or their artwork, I'd be happy to do so. Just let me know. Comment in the comments. Post a freaking picture in the comments. Just leave a couple questions that you would like for me to try to answer. Leave some things that you would like to maybe have me address, talk upon, whatever. And then tell me why you created the art piece. And I will be happy. I will absolutely adore trying to talk to you and help you out with creating your art. Anyway, you all have a wonderful day. And thank you for listening to me talk art. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.